Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we delve into one of the most powerful and tragic stories ever told, the rise and fall of the morning star. Once the most radiant of all angels, Lucifer's journey from heaven's glory to hell's depths is a tale of pride, rebellion, and ultimate downfall. We'll explore ancient texts, theological insights, and cultural interpretations to uncover the truth behind this fallen being. Whether you're curious about biblical lore or the deeper meaning behind good and evil, this story has it all. So sit back, subscribe, and prepare for a journey like no other. From heaven to hell, a dramatic descent and the fall from grace. The phrase, "from heaven to hell," immediately evokes a powerful image of transformation, one that suggests a journey not just of physical displacement but of moral, spiritual, and existential decline. It encapsulates the idea of a dramatic fall from an exalted state of purity or glory to one of corruption, despair, and punishment. This theme resonates deeply within religious texts, literature, mythology, and even psychology, reflecting a universal archetype of the fall from grace. One of the most profound and enduring illustrations of this descent is the biblical fall of Lucifer, the once radiant angel who, in his pride and rebellion, was cast from the divine heights of heaven into the abyss of hell. In this narrative, Lucifer's fall is not merely a punishment, but a consequence of overreaching ambition and the desire to transcend ordained limits. It is this model of descent, from exaltation to damnation, that the phrase, "from heaven to hell," encapsulates. In this essay, we will explore how this phrase functions metaphorically and symbolically across different contexts, focusing especially on its biblical origins, literary representations, psychological dimensions, and modern cultural interpretations. The biblical fall of Lucifer, pride before the fall. The origin of the archetype, from heaven to hell, finds its most vivid source in the biblical account of Lucifer's rebellion. While the Bible does not offer a single, linear story of Lucifer's fall, the pieces are inferred from several passages, particularly in Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 15 and Ezekiel 28 verses 12 to 17. As well as Revelation 12 verses 7 to 9. These texts describe a celestial being, often interpreted as Lucifer, who was once a shining morning star, perfect in beauty and wisdom, but who sought to elevate himself above God. "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit." Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 15. In this context, Lucifer's fall is not a physical tumble but a spiritual plummet caused by hubris, an overwhelming pride and a refusal to remain subordinate to divine order. The punishment is proportionate, from the heights of heaven to the depths of hell, from divine favor to eternal condemnation. Hell becomes not only a place of punishment but also a reflection of Lucifer's own inner state, alienated from God, isolated in pride, and burning with hatred and despair. The symbolism of light and darkness reinforces this transformation. Lucifer, literally light-bearer, loses his radiant identity as he embraces rebellion. Cast into hell, he becomes Satan, the adversary, whose role is to oppose, accuse, and destroy. Thus, the phrase, "from heaven to hell," is not merely a spatial metaphor, it signifies an ontological change, a reversal of nature and purpose. 2. Literary representations, from Milton to modernity. The archetype of the fall from grace has been richly explored in literature, most famously in John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost, 1667. In this work, Milton paints a vivid portrait of Lucifer's fall and subsequent reign as Satan. The poem begins in hell, where Satan awakens after being defeated in battle against God. Rather than submitting, he rallies his fellow fallen angels and asserts his defiant will. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Paradise Lost, Book I. This declaration encapsulates the pride and tragic defiance that led to Satan's fall. Milton's Satan is a complex figure, at once majestic, charismatic, and tragically self-destructive. His descent from heaven is portrayed not just as a punishment, but as a revelation of character. Hell, in this view, is not simply a location but a state of mind, a condition born of internal rebellion and estrangement from divine harmony. Milton's work has sparked centuries of debate over whether Satan is a heroic figure or a cautionary one. Some romantic poets, like William Blake and Percy Shelley, admired Milton's Satan as a symbol of rebellion against tyranny. Blake famously wrote, "The reason Milton wrote in fetters when he wrote of angels and God, and at liberty when of devils and hell, is because he was a true poet and of the devil's party without knowing it." Yet, even these sympathetic readings do not ignore the cost of the fall. The movement from heaven to hell remains a trajectory of loss, of innocence, of joy, of communion. The grandeur of Satan's ambition is undercut by the bleakness of his reality, as he surveys the infernal regions and recognizes the irreversible nature of his fall. Other literary works echo this motif. In Dante Alighieri's Inferno, hell is depicted as a complex, moral architecture, where the damned are punished according to the nature of their sins. At the bottom lies Lucifer himself, frozen in a lake of ice, weeping with all 6 eyes and eternally chewing on traitors. Dante's Lucifer is not proud and defiant but mute, immobile, and broken, a powerful image of the self-defeating nature of rebellion. His descent from the highest angel to the lowest demon is complete, irreversible, and tragic. 3. Psychological dimensions, the inner descent. Beyond theology and literature, the descent, from heaven to hell, can also be understood psychologically. In the realm of the human psyche, it symbolizes a fall from mental harmony to inner torment, a journey often marked by trauma, guilt, addiction, or despair. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, viewed such descents into the shadow self as necessary stages of individuation, the process by which a person confronts and integrates the darker parts of their unconscious to achieve wholeness. In this light, hell becomes a metaphor for the inner hells we create or encounter within ourselves. A person may begin in a state of emotional well-being, only to fall into depression, anxiety, or moral crisis through a series of poor choices, betrayals, or traumas. This fall can be as jarring and transformative as Lucifer's own, a loss of innocence, the shattering of identity, or the realization of one's own capacity for wrongdoing. Addiction narratives also reflect this descent, from the euphoric highs of substance use, false heavens, to the devastating lows of dependency and self-destruction. In these cases, the journey from heaven to hell is not instantaneous but incremental, with each step downward fueled by denial, pride, and avoidance of truth. 4. Moral and ethical implications, accountability and consequence. Embedded in the phrase, "from heaven to hell," is a moral warning. It implies that actions have consequences, especially when driven by arrogance, disobedience, or selfish ambition. The fall is not arbitrary, it is earned through transgression. In religious and ethical frameworks, the descent serves as a cautionary tale, reinforcing the importance of humility, obedience, and moral restraint. This moral structure is central to many religious traditions. In Christianity, the story of Lucifer underscores the dangers of pride, considered the first and worst of the 7 deadly sins. In Islam, Iblis, the equivalent of Satan, refuses to bow to Adam and is cast out of heaven, his sin being arrogance before God's will. In both cases, the descent is a divine response to rebellion and serves to uphold cosmic justice. In secular terms, this structure translates into social and ethical expectations. Leaders, celebrities, and public figures often experience modern versions of the fall, from wealth, fame, and adulation to scandal, disgrace, and obscurity. Think of the politician brought down by corruption, or the athlete whose career ends in doping allegations. These stories mirror the ancient arc: the higher the rise, the harder the fall. Such falls often spark a complex public response, part condemnation, part fascination, and sometimes, part sympathy. Why? Because the fall from grace is a human experience. While we may not descend from literal heaven, many experience their own mini-hells after prideful choices, betrayal of trust, or moral failings. Redemption and the possibility of return. Despite the grim trajectory implied in From Heaven to Hell, many traditions and stories hold out hope for redemption. The fall is not always final. In Christian theology, Christ's descent into hell, as recited in the Apostles' Creed, is followed by resurrection and victory over death, suggesting that even the depths of hell are not beyond divine reach. In literature, characters who fall often have the chance to rise again, though not to their former state, at least to a new one forged by self-awareness and repentance. Dante's Divine Comedy, after all, doesn't end in Inferno. It moves through Purgatorio and ends in Paradiso, signifying that the journey through hell can be a prelude to renewal, provided one learns and grows from the descent. This redemptive arc is echoed in personal lives. Recovering addicts, reformed criminals, or those who have faced severe psychological or spiritual crises often speak of having to hit rock bottom before they could begin to heal. For them, the descent into hell is not the end, but a turning point. Even Lucifer's narrative has been reimagined in some modern retellings, notably in literature, television, and comics, as a figure seeking redemption, wrestling with guilt, or even trying to do good. These stories challenge the finality of the fall and suggest a more nuanced view, that identity is not fixed, and even the damned may seek light. From heaven to hell is more than a dramatic phrase. It is a potent metaphor for the human condition, capturing the fragility of virtue, the peril of pride, and the gravity of moral consequence. Whether interpreted through the lens of religion, literature, psychology, or ethics, it reminds us of the ever-present tension between aspiration and downfall, between obedience and rebellion, between light and darkness. At its core, the phrase warns us that the heights of heaven, whether literal, spiritual, or metaphorical, are never guaranteed. They must be preserved through humility, vigilance, and integrity. Conversely, it also reminds us that hell is not always a final destination. Sometimes, the descent is what teaches us the value of grace. In the end, the journey from heaven to hell, and potentially back again, is not just about angels and demons, but about the choices we make, the temptations we face, and the truths we are willing to confront. It is the oldest story ever told, and one that continues to unfold in each of us. The morning star, pride, beauty, and the fall from grace. The title, The Morning Star, evokes a powerful and paradoxical image in Western theological and literary traditions. On one hand, it signifies radiance, brilliance, and an almost divine beauty. On the other, it has come to symbolize pride, downfall, and rebellion, most famously associated with Lucifer before his fall from heaven. This duality, the splendor of morning light and the darkness that follows, has given the morning star a complex symbolic richness. Over centuries, this figure has inspired theological debates, poetic interpretations, and philosophical inquiry into the nature of ambition, pride, and ruin. Origins of the title, Morning Star, in Scripture. The origin of the term morning star, in association with Lucifer, comes from Isaiah 14 verse 12 in the Hebrew Bible, which reads, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" King James Version. In the original Hebrew, the phrase is, Helel ben Shakar, literally translated as, Shining One, Son of Dawn. The Latin Vulgate translated Helel as Lucifer, meaning Lightbringer or Morning Star, a term that was not initially synonymous with Satan. Rather, the passage in Isaiah originally mocked a Babylonian king, likely Nebuchadnezzar II, who had become so arrogant in his power that his downfall seemed divinely ordained. Over time, Christian tradition began to associate this figure more directly with Satan. The fall of the Babylonian king was metaphorically interpreted as the fall of Lucifer from heaven, a proud angel cast out for aspiring to be like God. Thus, the morning star, a term once neutral or even laudatory, became a symbol of the most catastrophic rebellion imaginable. 2. The beauty of the morning star. Before the fall, Lucifer was often considered among the most beautiful and exalted of angels. The Book of Ezekiel, while primarily addressing the king of Tyre, uses imagery that Christian theologians also interpret as describing Lucifer. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. Ezekiel 28 verses 12 to 17, NIV. This poetic imagery paints Lucifer as a creature of dazzling perfection, crowned with wisdom and adorned with beauty. This is central to his symbolic role. He is not an evil being by creation, but a being whose excellence bred pride. In many traditions, Lucifer's original beauty is not denied, but instead forms the tragic foundation of his fall. His aspiration to rise above his station, driven by his beauty and wisdom, ultimately becomes his undoing. 3. Pride before the fall. The morning star's transformation into a symbol of pride and rebellion is theologically significant. In Christian doctrine, pride is considered the deadliest of the 7 deadly sins. Lucifer's rebellion exemplifies the consequences of pride unchecked, wanting to be like God rather than serving under him. This was not merely hubris, it was an existential revolt against divine order. In Paradise Lost, John Milton masterfully captures this inner struggle in Lucifer's defiant cry. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Milton's depiction of Lucifer is complex. He is charismatic, intelligent, and even sympathetic in his pain and loss. But this makes his pride more dangerous, not less. His fall is not simply about divine punishment but about a cosmic misalignment, Lucifer's unwillingness to accept a role below the Creator. In Milton's retelling, the morning star is not simply cast down, he chooses exile over subservience, turning beauty and intelligence into instruments of self-destruction. 4. Ambition and rebellion. The symbolic weight of the morning star extends beyond religious doctrine into broader reflections on ambition and rebellion. In literature and art, the morning star becomes a metaphor for human overreach, ambition that surpasses ethical or divine boundaries. This narrative has resonated through figures such as Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods, Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, or even Satan himself in Paradise Lost, who declares, "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." Lucifer's ambition reflects not just rebellion against divine rule but a metaphysical assertion of autonomy. In this light, the morning star is also a symbol of the Enlightenment spirit, of reason, individualism, and the refusal to bow to authority. But the price of this rebellion is always steep. Like Icarus, the morning star shines brightest just before it falls. This dual symbolism, of enlightenment and ruin, makes Lucifer an enduring figure in literature. Writers such as William Blake, Percy Shelley, and even contemporary authors have played with the idea of Lucifer not simply as evil but as a tragic or even heroic figure who dares to challenge tyranny. The morning star in contrast with Christ. Interestingly, the title morning star is not exclusive to Lucifer in Christian scripture. In Revelation 22 verse 16, Jesus says, "I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright morning star." This usage presents a theological paradox. How can the same title refer to both Lucifer and Christ? The answer lies in the different symbolic meanings. While both are bearers of light, their light leads in opposite directions, one toward rebellion and ruin, the other toward redemption and truth. Lucifer, as the morning star, represents light corrupted by pride. Christ, also called the morning star, represents the light of hope and resurrection. This duality emphasizes a crucial theme in Christian thought, that the qualities of beauty, power, and wisdom are not inherently evil but must be oriented toward love and service rather than self-exaltation. Thus, the morning star becomes a crossroads, where divine gifts can either lead to harmony or to disobedience, depending on the will behind them. 6. The cultural legacy. The image of the morning star has transcended religious contexts to become a cultural archetype. In modern storytelling, characters who echo Lucifer's arc, brilliant, ambitious, ultimately doomed, are numerous. Figures like Macbeth, Dr. Faustus, or even Anakin Skywalker follow similar paths of promise turned to rebellion. Moreover, the morning star's beauty and fall offer an aesthetic that is both alluring and melancholic. Gothic art and literature are particularly drawn to such themes. The fall of the angelic being becomes a metaphor for the human condition, noble in potential, yet vulnerable to corruption. This archetype also raises ethical questions about punishment and free will. Was Lucifer damned simply for aspiring to be more? Does ambition always lead to destruction, or only when it is misdirected? These questions resonate in both theological debates and philosophical discussions about human nature and freedom. 7. Modern interpretations and misinterpretations. In recent decades, alternative spiritualities and some strands of modern Satanism have attempted to reclaim Lucifer as a symbol of personal freedom, enlightenment, or resistance to oppressive authority. In such reinterpretations, Lucifer is not the adversary of good but a misunderstood figure, a Promethean archetype rather than a demonic one. While these views diverge sharply from orthodox theology, they testify to the continuing power of the morning star as a symbol. Whether feared or admired, Lucifer remains compelling precisely because he reflects human complexity, our desire for greatness, our struggle with limits, and our tragic capacity for self-destruction. Yet, traditional interpretations caution against romanticizing this figure. In theological frameworks, Lucifer's fall serves as a warning: brilliance without humility leads not to glory, but to desolation. It is a spiritual allegory about the importance of aligning one's will with the divine rather than seeking to replace it. 8. Conclusion: the parable of light and shadow. The morning star is a title rich in contradiction and depth. It evokes the dawn, yet points toward a fall. It celebrates beauty, but warns of pride. It embodies ambition, yet foretells ruin. Whether viewed through the lens of Christian theology, poetic tragedy, or philosophical allegory, the morning star remains a symbol of light turned into shadow. In Lucifer, we see a being of unmatched brilliance, whose desire to rise higher than ordained brought about his eternal fall. His story is not just about punishment, but about the misuse of gifts. His fall from heaven serves as a cautionary tale for all who let ambition override wisdom, and who confuse self-love with self-worship. And yet, the morning star also reminds us of the precariousness of excellence, how even the brightest light, unguided by humility, can become the darkest abyss. In that, perhaps, lies the most enduring lesson, that greatness must be rooted in service, and beauty must be tempered by humility, or else they may lead not to ascent, but to ruin. Thanks for watching From Heaven to Hell, the rise and fall of the morning star. Lucifer's descent reminds us how even the brightest can fall when pride takes hold. If you found this story thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What does this tale mean to you? Was it justice, tragedy, or something more? We'd love to hear your perspective. Stay tuned for more deep dives into mythology, religion, and hidden history. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, sometimes the darkest stories shine the brightest light. See you soon.